Good morning. This session is aimed at civil engineering students. We're going to have a look at where to find library resources and the merits of using the subscribed quality content they can access from the online library. We're going to have a look at something called the engineering subject toolkit page and look at a big multidisciplinary resource called Scopus, which has lots of capabilities for constructing a logical keyword search to surface relevant journal articles, technical papers and so forth from the literature. We're then going to go on and have a look at a subject-specific resource called Construction Information Service, and also something from the Institute of Civil Engineers, their library search platform as well, and we'll have a look at that. Okay, so whilst I'm showing you this slide, you might like to go and log into StudyNet and go to the online library page. So to do this now, I'll just give you a minute. And you should really know the basics of this page before we begin. So the search box here is searching everything. It's searching books, ebooks, journals, thesis, and so on. So it's actually searching within the library collection, and it's showing you things that are on the library shelves in the Learning Resources Centre, but it's also surfacing the content of big publisher platforms and collections that we have subscribed to. And so you can find that you can do quite a reasonable literature search using library search as well, provided the resources we've paid for are indexed within library search. And we can see some more information about this on the subject toolkit for engineering shortly. So I'm going to go to the live page and do a quick demonstration of this. I'm just going to end the presentation moment. Okay. So we're in the online library page now. If I were to put in a basic search that's relevant to your subject area, something like sustainable building, and see what we find. So for this, we can see that we get the title, we get something that tells us this is a journal article, and we get a link to the full text online where this is held. Okay. Again, here, this one's an ebook. We can click full text online and go to the platform where this is hosted. In this case, we end up in something called O'Reilly, which is a large collection of ebooks and much more, including videos. Okay. If we move down the list, this is an example of a journal article. So on. Okay, so if we click on any of these, we will go out to another platform where the resource is hosted. So this was a very basic search with just a couple of words that we think would be useful to surface content. There are some really basic search techniques you can use, such as putting double quotes around something, because this will look for an exact phrase. So in comparison to the 180,000 results that we have just by putting the two words in on their own, if we look for the exact phrase, then the results are drastically reduced. So they're more focused and they will only find that particular phrase, sustainable building, as opposed to something like building a sustainable lifestyle, where those two words would come up, but perhaps they're not relevant to what you're looking for at the moment. You can use the filter on the left-hand side here. You could perhaps look for online full text if you wanted to read it right now. And you could use scholarly peer-reviewed as a filter, so that it's only looking for papers that are in journals that have been published with a quality peer review element to them. We could also say we were interested in journal articles, and perhaps even published in the last few years. So we can go back further. Here we could have a look in the last year. And each time we apply a filter, obviously we're reducing the overall set of search results and they're becoming a bit more manageable to scan through. You could even add in another idea to your search. So sustainable building, but perhaps we're looking particularly at using concrete. So it assumes that you're putting and in between your search results. So you don't have to type and in your search, but just for the purpose of this illustration, I'll put it in for you. So sustainable building and concrete, we want both things to come up in the search results. And again, it's found both in the search results and reduced it still further to a more focused set of results. Okay, so some of the features of this as well, you can use this cite option. So if you were to use this particular publication or journal article or chapter in a book, you could cite the item and you could select the format you want it cited in. So in this case, I'm choosing Harvard. And it would format the reference for you, and you could copy and paste it into a set of references that you're using in an assignment or in your final project report. And you can also, if you're using as a reference management piece of software, you could export the results in the correct format to pop it into that software that helps you manage your references. You can also select items which you can see would be going into saved items like a basket. This is only something that is per session, so it's not something you can necessarily save, but you can collect things as you're searching within your search session. When you go to this list, you can do similarly formatting into Harvard referencing style. So you could copy and paste from there, or print or email to yourself, or export into reference management software. Okay, so it's always worth looking if you're using a resource which has got a basic search interface at whatever options are available. So for example, from the online library page here, we just popped a few keywords straight into the library search box. Here you can see there's an advanced search option. And when you're more confident with the keywords that you've selected to find information on your topic, you can combine them here in one go if you wanted to. So for example, you could put in here sustainable building, perhaps as a quote or a key word in itself as a phrase, and you could pop in here concrete, but you could add rows if you were interested in other aspects as well, and each time you can combine with and, or you can change it to or. Okay, so it's always good to have a look around and see what other options you've got for search interface other than the straightforward box that's available. It's quite often it's possible to build up a search line by line when you are confident with what keywords you'd like to use. Okay, so other parts of the online library homepage that we perhaps need to draw your attention to are the lists of subject toolkits. And I mentioned already in the introduction to this session, we were going to have a look at the engineering toolkit page. So if I go there now. So this provides you with the information for your information managers. So that's me, Monica Rivers-Latham, but to you and I'm also I'm the librarian that supports your subject area, and we're called information managers here at University of Hertfordshire. We've all got a specialist list of databases. So these are resources which you can search the literature and find subject-specific information around engineering topics you might be searching for. So what we've done here is provide a list of those resources out of everything we subscribe to in the library. And we've provided you with some general starting points for searching the literature. Scopus is one of the resources we're going to go and have a look at in the rest of today's session. but it's drawing your attention to the fact that we've got some big subject discipline specific resources such as IEEE Explore, and you can go to these individually from this list as a collection, go to the platform and search them individually. But if you notice, I've made an indicated in each case whether the content of that particular resource is indexed in library search. So for example, if you were to search for sustainable building and concrete in library search, if there was anything that came up from IEEE, then it would appear in the library search results as well, because this resource is indexed in library search. Again, O'Reilly is there under the ebook collections. We saw that we ended up at a ebook on the O'Reilly platform earlier in the example search on library search. And then we provided particularly specialist information sources for all of the different subject areas in engineering. So it would be a case of looking down this list and choosing one or two of them that are specifically focused on civil engineering. So for example, we have things for aerospace, but this one here, construction information service, this one, it gives you a bit more detail about what's in that resource. And in this case, it's important to know because it's not indexed in library search. And so you would have to go and search this resource separately because content from this wouldn't be in your library search results. Okay, so it's worth coming to the engineering subject toolkit page and looking down this list at all of the different collections that we've got and working out whether or not it's going to be something you can find in library search or whether you need to go to the collection separately. Okay, if we return to the online library page, we've had a look at the search box here. We've gone and had a look at the engineering subject toolkit page from here. The other part of the library homepage you need to be aware of is down the bottom here on the right, we've got this yellow panel, My Library Account. We're going to return here later because this is an area where you can not only look at what you've got out on loan, but you can also make requests for things like journal articles or books that perhaps we don't have in stock, and we can provide, certainly in the case of journal articles, a digital copy from another library through what's called our interlibrary loan service, and that would be delivered to your university email account. But we'll have a look at that service later in this session. So there's an A to Z list of search sources here. This is absolutely everything that we own, independent of any subject toolkit listing. So once you perhaps get to know that we have something like, for example, IEEE we mentioned, if you wanted to go straight there, then you wouldn't have to navigate to the toolkit page. You can just come straight away to this IEEE link on our big A to Z list of search sources. So I'm just going to return to the slides for the PowerPoint just to show you, make sure we've covered everything. And yeah, so here's just a little summary of some of the areas that we've covered briefly in our little look round library search. So this next slide is just to demonstrate that once you've logged into StudyNet and you come to your StudyNet homepage, that browser session, even if you go to a new tab on your browser and go to something like Google Scholar and do a very basic Google Scholar search, you will find that you'll get the full text links to content that we have access to. So you don't need to know about any other authentication method to access all the full text that you're entitled to at UH. You just need to make sure that you've done that first login to StudyNet and the online library in order to access all the full text. So next we're going to have a look at Scopus as an example of a big literature database. It's on your subject toolkit page for engineering, and it's basically an abstract and indexing database. So it takes everything across thousands and thousands of publishers and surfaces it by indexing it, giving it some keywords and allowing us to search for words coming up in, for example, the text of the articles or the abstract of the articles. So in this way, we can do a sort of logical, relevant keyword search, and we can find lots of things published in the literature on your particular topic. So we've worked out how you can find it through the online library page, through either the subject toolkits or the A to Z list of everything. So I'm going to go to that live now, and we're just going to have a look at an example search. Here it is on our big A to Z list of search sources. I'll just give it a moment. It's generally a bit slower because I'm sharing my screen. So what we get then is a sort of a search box, rather similar to library search, just one box. And in each case, it's searching in the article title, in the abstract, so the descriptive paragraph at the beginning of the journal article, or it's looking through some keywords that have been assigned to this particular journal article. Okay, and each time we're going to ask it to look for a particular word that comes up in that particular publication or paper. So we'll keep it simple. We'll look for concrete, and we're just going to do a search. And so what we get in each case is we get, for a start, we get 542,000 results, which is a huge set to look through. So we need to do something to rationalise and focus down those results before we start looking through the detail. But just to give you an idea of what you get in Scopus, you get the article title, you get the authors, you get the source or the journal publication, where it came from and the year it was published. In each case, you can go in and look at a bigger, more detailed entry in Scopus, and this is where you can see things like the abstract with a bit more detail to see if it's going to be a relevant article. You can see what keywords it was assigned, as in what is it about, what is a key theme that's going to come up in this article. Okay, so you get an idea as to whether or not you might want to read it. And then in most cases, you'll get various options for downloading or saving or viewing full text options somewhere, and it will try and link you to the full text wherever possible. Okay, so that's what you get as a set of search results. So if we go back to the search then, we've done one search and it's here, it's sitting in the search history. So what happens if we use something like an asterisk? In this database, it's called a truncation symbol. If you use search tips wherever possible to give you an idea of some of these techniques that you might want to employ. So what this is doing is we're searching for a document. Let's just go and have a look at the search tips. And we're looking at, for example, approximate phrase words and so on. It gives you an idea of using the double quotes like we were talking about in library search for exact phrases. And it'll also talk to you about using something called wildcards or truncation symbols, and they are to find all sorts of endings to words. Okay, so this will find not only concrete but concreted or concretes plural, okay, if it's relevant. So we'll try that now. We'll add that to the search. So obviously we found another huge set of search results. I'm going straight back to the search interface to go and see what's happening in the search history. And here we can see that obviously it's increased slightly by using all the alternative endings that we might not have known to use. Is there an alternative keyword perhaps to concrete? Would we want to be interested in finding everything on concrete, but also cement, for example? Okay, so we found another big set of results just by using another keyword around the same idea. Okay, so 262,000. And here it is sitting as another search result. What happens if we use the truncation symbol and we look for all the endings, cemented as well as cement? And again, the search results go up, as with the last example. So perhaps we might want to use the two bigger sets here, concrete, concreted, cement, cemented, and perhaps we want to join those together as a huge set of resource of journal articles that are published that are around my one concept or idea. So I'm interested in concrete or cement at the moment. Okay, so I'm going to suggest that we select the two that we're most interested in using, and then you can use this option here to combine the queries, and it's asking how do you want to combine the queries. Well, in this case we're interested in either cement or concrete. Okay, and we're going to see what that's done with our results. So what that's done is that's created a really big set of search results, even bigger than when we started putting one or two keywords in, but it's joined it together into one set that we can use as a building block in our search strategy. So what you have to keep in mind is if you've got one particular idea, you need to think of all the alternative keywords. It could be, for example, acronyms, technical terms. So, for example, if we were looking for a helicopter, we would also look for rotorcraft. If we were looking for black hole in physics and astronomy, then we would also look for active galactic nuclei. If we were looking for casualty or accident and emergency, we might also look for emergency room or ER if we're looking for American publications. Okay, so think of all the alternative keywords for your idea and then join them together with OR. And then you can leave that sat in your search history and think about the other element of your search. So in my case, I'm looking at 3D printing of cement for large building construction projects. So my other idea is 3D printing. So I'm just going to type that in now and do a search. And I'm not going to look at search results yet because I want to develop this idea a little bit further. So 3D printing has found 84,000 results. But what happens if I hyphenate it? Because it could also be written like this in the literature. Okay, so it's found another set of results there. It may have a lot of duplication, but it may have some unique articles in that we haven't found before. And then what happens if we look for 3D printing as an actual phrase? So always coming up like this and not 3D and then printing somewhere else in the journal article. Go back to the search result. Okay, we've got another set of search results there. And what about putting this phrase in as a long phrase? So 3-dimensional printing. There we go. So search. And whilst reading a few basic journal articles that looked very relevant for this, I was also aware that concrete printing was a thing, and so perhaps we should look up that as an idea as well. So anything talking about not 3D printing, but specifically concrete printing. Still sort of brainstorming this particular idea of 3D printing around our topic. Okay, so we found another set of search results. And also seen it shortened to 3D CP, so 3D concrete printing in some journal articles. So this is the sort of thing that you can go back and add in if you discover, specifically if you use this sort of building block approach. Okay, because at any time in the search history, you can pop a new set in, and then it's just a case of picking the search sets that you're interested in. So this one, 3D printing, three-dimensional printing, then perhaps concrete printing, and then the acronym 3DCP. So I'm interested in these ideas, and I'm going to combine those together like we did with our first idea. But in this case, it's or. So I'm interested in three-dimensional or concrete printing or three-dimensional printing as an acronym or whatever. Okay, and I'm going to show the results. So now we have a big set of search results, but we've probably got rid of a lot of duplication in those other sets that we were looking at here. So we've got two ideas now sitting in the search history. We've got everything to do with concrete or cement, and then everything to do with three-dimensional printing thereof. Okay, so the last step of this search is to combine these two ideas together. So each time so far we've said we're interested in either this or this or this or this, but now we want to say take everything that we've brainstormed to do with concrete and everything we've brainstormed to do with 3D printing. We're going to combine the queries together this time with and. We're going to say we want it to be about both things in one journal article for us to be interested in the search results. So we're going to show these results now. So in comparison to the hundreds and hundreds of thousands of results, we've got a much more manageable set of results that we can start filtering and focusing in on if we wanted to, rather like in library search. So we could have a look at one of the sets of search results. Okay, let's just have a look at any of them. Let's go with this one. And it's here that we can, again, we can have a look at the abstract, like I showed you at the beginning, and also anything that's an author and a keyword. Either author has provided the keywords or it's been indexed by selecting keywords out of the content and deciding what it's about. And some of these might be useful to reintroduce to your search results and then use the or and the and functions to create new sets of search results with this new word added in. So this is something you can do to revisit and refine your search results if you want to. Also, I wanted to point to, for example, the option to download. Have a go at that to see if you're able to download the abstract or the full text of the document. Sometimes you can, sometimes it says it couldn't be downloaded, and then it's suggesting that you go and have a look at the publisher's site. But I would exhaust all options to try and do full text download from Scopus if possible, because we use this little sort of linking find a copy piece of software to try and link you in to anywhere that we might hold it as full text anyway. So it's jumped you from your Scopus search results into directory of open access journals, and it's showing you this particular abstract, and it will allow you an option in this case to read online. Okay, so this is now taken you to somewhere called Science Direct, which is authenticated here by University of Hertfordshire, and so it's providing access now to the full text from a different place from where you started your search. Okay. Right, I'm going to return back to Scopus. So we're still in the full record here. The other thing to be aware of is this DOI, so Digital Object Identifier. It's a link to a sort of more stable link to the journal article online. If you hadn't been able to find a full text from any of these full text options that you've got available to you, then you can always take the DOI, you can copy that from wherever you are. Even if you're in another service, you'll quite often see that there'll be a DOI somewhere that you can take there. And we talked at the very beginning of the session about this idea of interlibrary loan. So if you could only find the title, authors, and the citation information from your set of search results, just go to some results and show you what I mean. So if you couldn't find any full text, then you need this basic information here so that you can go ahead and request this particular journal article from our interlibrary loan service to be delivered to your email. So that's if you fail to find any full text content yourselves through the links that we provide. So by copying the DOI, what you're doing is you're providing a sort of quite handy shortcut to filling in that basic information that you need to make that request. So you copy the DOI, you can come back to the online library page, and it's hidden away in Check My Library Account. So one of the things you can do in your library account is you can do something called an interlibrary loan request here. So this interlibrary loan request requires you to create a request that gets sent off electronically. You say yes to the copyright declaration, which allows us to provide you a copy digitally for your own personal, non-commercial, private study. Okay, so you say yes there, and it's here that you can paste in that DOI, and it will fill in this form for you automatically rather than you having to bring across the citation information that you have found elsewhere. So that's a really good shortcut for you to know. I won't make the request now, but you would click on the request and it would be sent off, and we would try and obtain a copy of that journal article from another library which is in the interlibrary loans network for you. Okay. So that's a very quick introduction to the Scopus database, showing you some search techniques to refine your search. We looked at using quotation marks for exact phrases, rather like we did on library search. And we had a look at search tips to see if there were any other tricks, such as the multiple endings with a truncation symbol. Okay. And then we looked at how to combine queries together. So we combined things about one idea, so alternative keywords about one idea. We looked at combining with or. So that's what we did as our first stage here, concrete or cement. And then we looked at introducing another idea, looking at alternative keywords for that other idea, combining those together with or. And then combining both of those big sets of results together with and. So we wanted it to be about both things, three-dimensional printing and concrete. And we have our final set of search results there. Okay, so now I'm going to leave Scopus as a set of search results, and perhaps you can have a go another time with your own topic and your own ideas and have a go at developing your own keyword search and see what results you can find. So back on the online library homepage then, I'm going to revisit the engineering toolkit. And we're going to have a look at the specialist database that's specifically for engineering students, called Construction Information Service. So here we are. I'm going to go to this resource from here. I could equally pick it up from our A to Z big list of everything that we subscribe to. Give it a minute to resolve. Okay, so here we have technical information, standards, legislation related to construction, best practice documents and ebooks. It's also somewhere where architecture and building regulations can be found, and we've got access to Architect's Journal, and the site gets updated regularly with content. So if we look, for example, under just browsing around under technical resources, this is a direct link to a title called Architect's Journal, and architects will often come here to look for this particular title, but it will take you off to the publisher's site with access. Okay, under quick links, we can see building regulations and approved documents. Okay, and you can go straight to sort of listings of those. But if we do a quick search here, note that we've got the option to use an exact phrase. So we could ask for green buildings, continue with a similar theme. If we do a straightforward search with just the keywords, okay, we get 1068 results. Already it's selected to look for exact phrase, so we could just do a quote around here and see if it makes any difference to the set of search results. But in this case, it doesn't. Okay, so we know, we're confident that it's looking for that phrase. Okay, so we can have a look at the kind of results that we get. So here we've got a current supplement, core supplement, green building and sustainability. And there's an option to download the content from here. So it has its own sort of terms of use, okay? And then you can download and accept the download. I won't do that right now. You can also have a look at direct suppliers via this specify it. It's not always obvious. Here you get your set of search results that you can look through, and you can display anything on the right, but you can see that that's a constant blue bar at the bottom there. So you can go and have a look at specify it. And what this is doing is you can see suppliers by name. And so if there's particular suppliers who deal with green buildings and products and services around that, you can have a look at the suppliers by name, and you can browse and filter by particular suppliers. So we could just look, for example, at these ones by Ross. Okay, that provides you with a much better set of search results. So we'd like to encourage you as civil engineers to go and use this construction information service independent from your library search results, and go and have a look at the kind of content you can get in here, do some keyword searching, and use it as a separate resource to surface relevant content around your topics that you're searching. Okay. So back on the toolkit page then, one of the other resources that perhaps I should draw your attention to as civil engineers is this ICE Virtual Library Archive. So this is from the Institute of Civil Engineers. It's content on the websites, including sort of 35 peer-reviewed journals. There's over 36,000 online papers and over 1,800 new papers published every year. So there's archives that are free, because to University of Hertfordshire and all other universities through an agreement that's nationally for higher education, but there's also a reasonable amount of content for free through there because they've been paid for to become open access to everybody. And what you can't get for free when you've searched the interface, you can use the interlibrary loan service to request specific articles that you've found by searching using this platform. But again, in this case, you can see that search results would also come up in library search. So it's your preference to go perhaps and explore the ICE Virtual Library interface. Okay, so for here, just to be aware that you could also see, let's do a basic search here. Note that where it's searching phrases, it's searching authors and keywords, etc. And here we could do, for example, 3D printing, components, concrete. Okay, just to give you an idea of some of the content that's available here. Okay. And again, you can scan down and have a look at some of the options available. You can look at a particular search result. Here you can see, look, it's provided with a DOI. So if you couldn't get the full text content from here, then you could go back and do the interlibrary loan. Okay. So I'm going to just return to the presentation slides, make sure we've covered off everything that I wanted to in this particular session. So we've had a look at Construction Information Service, and we've had a very brief look at ICE Virtual Library. And we've talked about the unlimited interlibrary loan service for journal articles that we don't have at UH. And you know to revisit the online library, My Library Account section and select Check My Library Account. So now there's a link also on the online library page to something called Library Skill Up. This is where you can get online support after today. It goes over a lot of, there's a unit in this particular Canvas module called Searching, and it will go over an awful lot of the things that I touched upon today when we were searching Scopus and how to use keywords and combine them successfully to find relevant journal articles. So I would suggest it's not a Canvas module that you need to complete and do an assignment. It's simply for you to dip in and out and answer all the questions you might have around searching for things on your topic. We've got referencing guidelines in the referencing unit, and there'll be some information in there that helps you with completing your reference list for your assignments. So I would add this particular journal Canvas module. By joining the module, you will have it added to your dashboard where your other modules are that you're studying. So it will always be there, and you can dip in and out of it to use the content to help support your research for your assignments. Also, we've got a little browser extension, a little pop-up that can appear that helps tie together journal articles wherever you start your search. So you could be in ICE Virtual Library, and if you install this little browser extension called Lean Library, you'd get a little pop-up and it would try and send you through to whichever resource we have available with the full text content. And it might not be where you started from. It might be because we have another collection or an archive that has this content somewhere else as well. So we'd be really interested in your feedback on this. There's a little share feedback option on the pop-up, and there's a page in Library Skill Up in the Get Started unit, which will actually give you a little video that you can use to help you install. This is the page within the Library Skill Up unit. Okay, and if you notice here, I've got a little browser extension, Lean Library. And so you follow the video instructions and you can get that on your browser, and it'll help you navigate to our content wherever you start your search. Even if you were in Google Scholar and then you went found some content that perhaps we had online somewhere else in one of our journal collections. Okay. Go back to the slides. So this is just a reminder of where you can get help after today. We've talked in the session about Library Skill Up, and you can find that through the online library page. We have these icons listed, and you can go straight to these individual units. You can add it to your dashboard. You can come and physically see us in the Learning Resources Centre, in what's called the Study Success Hub, the area with the bright orange furniture. And we have a desk where we are there Tuesday to Thursday. Somebody from our team is there from 1 until 3 on those days. And you can come and ask questions as a result of perhaps watching this session, or if you're starting to search the literature for your topic, for your final project, or any assignment, you can come and speak to us about any issues you might have tracking down things to read. And then you can contact me directly if you're a final year student and ask, perhaps we can have a one-to-one on Teams or something, and we can have a look at your subject that you're researching together.